Welcome to the Power Principle series. My name is Peter Mueller and I've developed this video series on YouTube to provide you with some valuable lessons for life. Today we are talking about Power Principle 1, Part 2. If you would like to see the previous segment, you simply go to YouTube and you type in Dr. Peter Mueller Power Principles and you have access to all our videos. Another way to find all of our videos is to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we will update you at any time when we have one of our videos posted. In our previous segment, in part 1, you learned the concept of the time management matrix with the 4 quadrants, where we have simply the 4 quadrants where our activities can be slotted in. In quadrant 1, the important and urgent, which I call the stress quadrant. Then we have quadrant 2, the important and not urgent one, which I call the achievement quadrant. Then quadrant 3, the not important and urgent, which I call the devil's quadrant or devil's corner. And quadrant number 4, the not important and not urgent one, which I call simply the waste quadrant. Now, when you make the first time a time log for 1 week, you may end up with a time spread into the quadrants the following, as you can see on the right-hand side, if you made an honest time log. Quadrant 1, you may end up with 20%, Quadrant 2 with 10, Quadrant 3 with 60%, and Quadrant 4 with 10%. The most important on this time management matrix, when you look at the split of your time in the segments, is that you spend in Quadrant 1 and 2, the important quadrants, only 30% and 70% in the not important segment. Another view at it is you perceive about 80% of the activities you are doing as urgent. However, the vast majority being in quadrant 3. Now, when we apply some proper time management practices and work a decent program, we should be striving to a time allotment basically looking like that. In quadrant 1, having 15% of our time, in the achievement quadrant, that we have 60% of it, the important and not urgent. And in quadrant 3, we get it down from 60% to 20%, and quadrant 4 only 5%. And as the arrow indicates, the key shift is from quadrant 3 to quadrant 2. And as a result of this change, if we successfully change our time management strategies and tactics, we will spend 75% of our time for important projects and tasks and only 25% in the not important segment. And as a result of this key shift from quadrant 3 to quadrant 2, which the red arrow indicates, we also reduce our time spent in the urgent segment to 35. Remember, when we go back to the previous one, at our starting point, we thought 80% of our time is in the urgent segment, but after successful application of new strategies and tactics, we go to only 35% in the urgent. Now, how does the magic work? We have about 40% which we have to move out of quadrant 3 to quadrant 2. Let's go back and look at it. We want to move from 60% in quadrant 3 to 20% in quadrant 3, and using these 40% and move it up into quadrant 2. Now, when we look where we get the time from, we go simply to the 7 time wasters from segment number 1, and we can look at it in time waster number 1, 2, 3, and 7. So the interruptions, disorganization, information overload, and urgency addiction, these are the 4 key time wasters where we can search to find this 40% of our time. And it is for the vast majority of us, that's why I've selected those 4, they are in our digital world. They have to do with our smartphone, with our tablets and the PC at work and at home. So it is basically a digital strategy for most of us to get the 40% improvement of the time spent out of quadrant 3 and a little bit out of quadrant 1, moving it into quadrant 2. Now here are 7 simple steps to do this. Step number 1, we have to go through a digital detox. What is a digital detox? Very simply, for 30 days you say no social media after 7 o'clock in the morning and not before 8 o'clock in the evening. If you want to continue to do your Facebook, Snapchat and all the other stuff, you have to do it before 7 o'clock in the morning and after 8 o'clock at night. No interference on the way to work, at work, or after work before you go home. And your smartphones should be turned off during work hours, unless it is mandatory in your work that you have to have it on. There are some jobs where it is the case, but for the vast majority of us, believe me, it is not the case, and turn it off during work. And at work, there is the next key point. You have to reserve certain time where you do email and browsing, that you are basically online. And I recommend you select 2 segments for it, 30 minutes prior lunch and 30 minutes before you leave the office, to make your email and to do the internet related work where you do specific searches. Otherwise, the browser should be closed at your computer and you use the time at your computer for productive work. Also, during the regular work time, you don't have any email notifications on your phone and your laptop. If you do these 3 simple steps, it will work wonders. Believe me, you will free up so much time that you have difficulties to fill it right from the beginning. Step 2, the digital cleanup. The digital cleanup is that you first eliminate all programs and apps from your laptop, computers and smartphone which you have not used during the last 6 months. Simply clean them and all related data, clean them off. Secondly, develop a filing method, and I will in my next video segment in video number 3, part 3, talking about information management, I will talk in detail how to do that. You need one unified, unique way of filing your information. It's a folder kind of system. It should be the same in your paper folding, it should be the same in your smartphone, in your computer, in your laptop, anywhere. So if I send you an email about a certain subject and you have it on any of your devices, it should be at the same place in each of the devices. Okay, and last but not least, in the digital cleanup, you go through all your records, and once you have established your new filing structure, you go through each piece of information, email, data, PowerPoint presentations and everything. You delete any irrelevant and duplicate data, and you archive and sort your relevant information and put it into your new system. Number 3, you need a dedicated digital time strategy, meaning for work time and at home. You need to decide when I'm online and when I'm offline. You have to establish this, otherwise it creeps in during the entire day and you are not getting the things done you want to get done. Number 4, you have to develop a digital strategy, simply deciding which hardware I'm going to use for the next 12 months in terms of smartphone, tablet and desktop, and decide which kind of software I'm using on each of the devices and stick to it. You have only one spreadsheet software you use everywhere, and you have one PowerPoint or one slide software or one photo software, and you don't tinker around with 5 different applications for the same thing to do. So you really, from a hardware and software point of view, you clarify your digital footprint. Number 5, you make a very clear info management and data transfer strategy and storage. In my next video, I will go in detail on this step, so I will not cover it here. Number 6 and 7, now that you have created so much time for yourself, now you get some clarity how you fill quadrant 2 with long-term, strategic, important work at home and at your workplace. These are the objectives and goals with your boss and the longer-term projects and so forth. If you follow these 7 steps, you should have much more structure in your life, and you should have cleaned up your digital footprint and life. In the next segment, we will cover specifically the information management, how to go through hardware, how to go through your software, and most importantly, how you control the data flow between your devices and in which form you should keep your data available for easy transfer to other people internationally and between your devices. So this is it for part 2 today. For comments, please send us an email. You have the information down. Thank you for watching this video and see you soon for segment 3.